Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. In this training tape, we'll have a look at the personal foul leaping, both when it happens on field goals and PATs, but also the different variety that happens on punts. And we'll have a look at when is it legal, when is it illegal, who should be looking at this. But before we get to the game film, let's have a look at what the rulebook and the MOFO have to say on this topic. In the rulebook, we go to 9.1.11, leverage and leaping. Article 11b. It is a foul if a defensive player moves forward and tries to block a kick or apparent kick on a field goal or try by leaving his feet and leaping into the plane directly above the frame of the body of an opponent. It is not a foul if the player was aligned in a stationary position within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage when the ball was snapped. C. It is a foul if a defensive player who is inside the tackle box tries to block a punt by leaving his feet and leaping into the plane directly above the frame of the body of an opponent. It is not a foul if the player tries to block the punt by jumping straight up without attempting to leap over the opponent. And finally, it is not a foul if a player leaps through or over the gap between players. And that was the rulebook. Now let's have a look at some examples in the game film. We'll start out by looking at some field goal PAT formations or plays, and in this first clip we're looking at B22 right in front of the umpire here. And the first thing we'll notice is that he is lined up very close to the line of scrimmage, so already there he's in good shape. Now B5 to the right of him, he would be more our concern in terms of if he moves forward and jumps up. But let's stay focused on B22, and he is actually going to move in and jump up. But not only is he close enough to the line of scrimmage that he's okay, he's also going into the gap between the center and the guard. So he's not really jumping into the airspace above an opponent. What he's doing is trying to get into that gap and get to the ball that way. So from both points of view, this guy is legal. As opposed to the previous play, here B2 certainly is lined up far enough back that we would want to keep an eye on him, and he also does move forward and leap to try to block the kick. However, he doesn't land on anybody, and it is part of the rule, as we know, that he needs to go into the so-called airspace above an opponent and land on somebody and create contact. Here he does not do that. So even though this is somebody with a brick in his hand that we want to keep an eye on, what he does here is luckily completely legal. With this next example, we take it a step further. We're looking at the linebacker there between the umpire and the side judge. And again, he is certainly far enough back that we would want to keep an eye on him. He has that brick in his hand, and at the snap he is going to move forward and he's going to leap, and there's contact now. However, I think this is still a legal play just because he moves forward and he leaps, but he does not, at least appears to, from this angle, he does not leap into the airspace above an opponent. I think what happens is the offensive player moves forward and creates this contact. So I think we can let the linebacker off the hook here, simply because he is not the one initiating this contact. But I think it's a good example of why this rule is in there, because the leaper here puts himself at high risk of injury just because of the way he comes down. But the way the rule is now, I think this is legal because the contact is initiated by the Team A player. With this next play, we take it up another notch. We're looking at B12 here, and again, he's lined up far enough away that we need to keep an eye on him. He moves forward, he leaps, and he may even get into the airspace of the offensive player, and with his right arm, he probably creates contact with an offensive player. But again, we're looking at a break in the hand. He does leap, he does get into the airspace, he does create contact, but I just don't think that this is the type of contact that was that the rule was put in place to remove from the game. So I think this is a good no call, a good talk to by the umpire after the play, but this is not enough for us that we want to call this. In this example, we're focusing on B36, who is right to the left of B27, and he certainly leaps over the offensive player into his space, but again, he lines up at the line of scrimmage, so this is not a foul for leaping. Before we move on to punts, this is the last example of a field goal P18. We're looking for the defensive end away from the camera, who's going to jump over there. And again, we've got the different aspects. He is he's far enough away from the line of scrimmage that he has a break in his hand. He's moving forward, and then he jumps. And it certainly, even though this is not a very good angle, certainly appears that he jumps into the airspace of the tackle. Now it's the tight end who initiates a little bit of early contact, but I think this is the type of action that we want to get out of the game. You can also see this puts himself at risk of injury, and also the guy he's landing on puts him at risk of injury. So this is something that we would want either the umpire or side judge, whoever is watching this side of the line, to watch. Now you could say that maybe the linesman could see it also, since this is the closest defensive player to him. However, the linesman cannot see where the defender moves into the neutral zone. Is this above the airspace of an opponent, or is he shooting a gap here? The only one who can see that is the umpire, side judge. So this is something that we would want to have called, provided that this is over the tackle, which it certainly looks like. Now let's have a look at some punts. So here's the classical example of what we want to get out of the game for these punts with the shield. We're looking at the nose tackle, so right across from the snapper. He's going to come around and come in and do that. So what we have here is he's coming in the tackle box. He is trying to leap right over a defender. He's not going in the gap. He's trying to go straight over a defender, putting himself in serious risk of injury and potentially also his opponent. So this right here is, we don't see this very often, but here's a great example of what we want to eliminate from the game. Now compare this one to the next and final play and see the differences and similarities. In this last clip, we're looking at A49, the up back here, and compared to the last one, so this isn't even the same type of shield, and I don't think that you can say that this defender actually jumps into his airspace. A49 is certainly just as much to blame for creating this contact, and the defender, you know, jumps and then kind of regrets his action, or stops his movement. So this is not what we're looking for leaping. So this would be an incorrect call for leaping. Certainly when we compare it to the one we saw before, which is the typical type of action. So this is not what we want in leaping. I hope this made sense, and I hope that you found something you can use on the field.